Hello, everybody, and welcome to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. This week here with Farbode
Hola.
and Alex.
Konnichiwa.
Oh, okay, and I'm also Alex. Very diverse bunch we got here today. So, a little bit of a shorter show today. We just got a few top stories, top 5 players at each position. Today will be the relief pitchers. And we have our teams of the week, the Astros and the Dodgers. So we'll jump right into the number one story of the past week. Really, one of the only interesting things that happened was Max Scherzer finally found a home in Washington.
I do not dislike this deal for either sides, but I don't like it either.
Wait,
You don't like this deal?
For either side, like Scherzer's side and no, I love it for Scherzer. I think he gets paid, but I 100% understand why the Nats wanted Scherzer. But I mean, 210 for him or 210 for signing Desmond, Zimmerman, some of those guys back. But like with this signing, this is definitely their all-in year. They'd be good the year after, but they wouldn't be great. And the Mets are coming up, and Marlins are coming up too. So I don't know. This might be their last year that they're alone in that division, anyway. But one thing that actually interested me about this contract was that he's getting paid for 14 years while he's going to play for them for 7.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think that goes into play because they're trying to, it's 15 a year now and they're trying to re-sign one of those guys. So I guess you know what I mean.
I was gonna say, it basically just makes it more manageable on an annual salary perspective for the Nationals. I think is the only reason they would do something like that. Because the money's still committed.
Technically, if you consider inflation and how the luxury tax works, they actually save a lot of money because 15 million in 2029 when the contract ends will not be worth the same. It'll be equivalent to a lot more money, more money today. So we're actually saving a lot of money. By that logic, maybe I'm stupid and I'm completely misunderstanding how it works, but as far as I know, that's how it does. And I think I agree with you. Maybe allows them to extend one of their impending free agents, but I would agree with you that it's just okay. Maybe earlier today, but I also listened to Baseball Prospectus's podcast, and they made an interesting point that this kind of allows them to trade one of their pitchers for a star prospect.
They're thinking about trading Strasburg or Zimmerman.
Yeah, because if Samardzija could have gotten Addison Russell, who obviously hasn't even played a major league game yet, that's like a 4.5 star prospect for maybe a quality number 2 starter. So imagine what Strasburg to get. And I think what this recent MLB has proven is that the most valuable commodity is a young, team-controlled, cheap superstar. I know those are insanely rare, but the best way to do that is to trade a very good player and get a haul of prospects back. That's how most of the teams have, a good number of the teams have done it. And the Nationals are obviously too good to do it the other way, which is by a high draft pick. So if you take it, maybe I think it's very difficult to judge really how good or bad or meh this move is until, they maybe make one further move and trade one of their impending free agents for a haul, though they may never do that. But I think you have to give us an incomplete grade for now.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why it seems like it wasn't the best of moves is because it wasn't really necessary.
Yeah, agree.
When you see all these other potential suitors for Scherzer that would, in a situation where he would definitely boost that rotation to a point to make them a contending team, that just goes away entirely, and his value is shifted more towards kind of, I know this is one of the top stars in the game, but he's basically an insurance policy that they're signing. It's because, there's a lot of factors that can go into any season. You could lose starting pitchers in spring training. They could underperform. And if you're able to sign a guy that is a top of the rotation guy for this quite unique deal that doesn't completely blow up your annual salary for the foreseeable future, it is definitely a smart move for that team, even though it doesn't seem necessary.
I would say that I think it's true right now. You can definitely go with that, but and I think it's completely valid as like a right in this point in time. But I just think that their front office, I think, has been really, really intelligent in almost all their decisions the past 4 years or so, even 5, and they've made some couple curious moves that don't seem to really, to us casual observers, make complete sense, such as Clippard, as Dribble,
going all the way back to
Scherzer, but
I would go all the way back.
I kind of trust them.
Jason Worth signing would probably be in my mind, the beginning of that.
Look how that proves to be a great signing by value. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know I've kind of, not giving Billy Beane as much of the benefit of the doubt this offseason, but I'm going to see how this plays out for the Nationals. Their team has kind of underperformed in the playoffs and the postseason the past couple of years, at least in my opinion. And I think they'll find a way to, succeed with this move.
That is true. Especially this year in the playoffs, if they have a Scherzer, Strasburg, Zimmerman 3-man rotation in the NLDS, that would just be nasty.
They don't need a 3-man rotation.
No, I know, but just for the 3 games, because for the NLDS, all you need is 3 games to move on. So
okay,
those three guys start. Your chances, if you're an opponent, you just go way down.
Right, and I think this is a very different situation than, the Oakland A's. You kind of threw in Billy Beane's name for some reason with the question.
Billy Beane's name goes in every podcast.
Yeah, it's not as questionable a move as you would think, because in reality it's still a top of the line starter that you're gaining. You really can't see anything that would explode in their faces on paper unless something goes wrong, which could definitely happen. But it's not a risk, really.
One more thought. For all we know, Jordan Zimmerman could make, over $100 million, as could Desmond. Strasburg in 2 years could get similar money to Scherzer. And considering how fast the prices are, how fast these contracts are growing in money for what they're worth, and coupled with the fact that they have Lucas Giolito, considered by many the top pitching prospect in baseball, amongst other solid prospects, I think in the long term I see their logic when they're basically preemptively replacing the guys they know is essentially impossible, that are essentially impossible to re-sign. And I think this move is just basically they're building for the future and the present in one sweep, and I like it. I mean, like you said, I don't think doesn't sound like really anyone loves this move necessarily, but you can't say something's wrong with it. And that's,
exactly.
I mean, I can't complain about that if I'm a National fan.
Oh, definitely. There's no way you're going to complain about getting Max Scherzer.
I wish the Yankees got a Cy Young winner this offseason. I mean, they're looking pretty good. Having too many good players is a good problem to have.
Exactly.
Let me poke a quick question at you. Do you think the Marlins would be pretty close in contending with the Nationals if they were to sign James Shields?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No, not even close.
Well,
I don't really like their staff past. I don't know, something about it. They have a lot of guys who are either injury prone or not really, they either coming off injury, like Fernandez. Latos is always hurt. Sharon, who even knows, he's a total, maybe. They traded two of their best pitchers this offseason already. And then I don't know if Shields really would make a difference. I think they're a year away. Same with the Mets. The Mets have too much pitching. The Marlins don't have the hitters, in my opinion.
I would tell you this. I think the Nationals are going to win this division, but they're not going to run away with it. I think if Bryce Harper comes back and plays how we know how he plays, the Nats got this division. But I think that the Marlins, just like you said, Rudy, they are a year away. But especially, I think they can somewhat contend, especially for the wild card. But especially with Jose Fernandez coming back, is it mid-May or whenever he comes back? With him there, they have somewhat a chance to compete, but as you said, they are injury prone. I don't know.
I'm gonna take it. I think they're looking at who their staff consists of at the moment. They just have a lot of guys who are either not completely proven or
Question marks.
The only guy who I really am completely confident next year is Henderson Alves, who was pretty damn good this season.
That's the only guy that you're completely confident.
100%, I believe it. Everyone else, Tom Kohler, Phelps, those guys are pretty on and off. Latos is injury prone. Fernandez coming off Tommy John. Don't get me wrong. They could win the division, and I wouldn't be dead from shock. But I just think they're maybe one more year away, and they don't. But they could definitely be in the wild card hunt for sure.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That was just a little
I don't
fun
think
question.
they're better than the Nationals, basically. I think that's yeah, there we go. It's a good
Okay.
What do you think? Or are you in agreement?
I personally think that James Shields would not lead them to to a division title this year necessarily, but I think it'd make a lot of sense for their rotation just because of the fact that they have a lot of these unproven guys and a lot of injury-prone guys, and that's kind of solving two problems with one guy. So, James Shields is a good fit anywhere you go with those same assets.
They have young guys on that team, and James Shields, he can teach them something, being a veteran.
Another guy who can teach these guys a thing or two is Ichiro Suzuki. Just inked a 1-year deal with the club as a fourth outfielder. Fourth outfielder deals, not really much to talk about for the most part, but when it's Ichiro Suzuki,
there's a lot to.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. It's Ichiro Suzuki.
He's the best 41-year-old in the major leagues.
That's a bold statement, but I agree.
I personally would have thought that I'm kind of disappointed. I never heard about any of this happening, but I'm kind of disappointed the Mariners didn't give him a shot at being their fourth outfielder, letting him being a part of a Mariners team.
I would have let him start for Dustin Ackley.
Exactly. And he's 156 away from 3,000. Being a fourth outfielder at 41 for the Marlins, he needs, I don't know, if he gets 80 hits this year, and 80 hits next year, he'd get it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Ichiro going back to the Mariners would have just been a great story. I don't necessarily think it would have made a lot of sense.
Oh no, it wouldn't have made sense. It would have been a great story.
It wouldn't have made any sense. It would have just made the story if he gets his 3,000th hit with that club and people can unearth their old Ichiro jerseys that they've shoved in the back of their closets.
Just remember, this is a 1-year deal, so if he gets 80 hits this year, he can always, if he's feeling good for next year free agency, maybe a 1-year deal with the Mariners wouldn't be a terrible idea just to retire with the team that he came up with.
Yeah, who knows? Also, I don't know, just Ichiro, in my mind, does not seem like this kind of player that wears with age
No.
as quickly as other players. He is one of the most in shape players of his age, maybe one of the most in shape players among any MLB player at this point. And, you know, he can still swing a little bit. He's not quite as fast. He's not going to get the same
Obviously, his
infield
stats
hits.
have declined. Obviously, everything's declined.
He can
but
still play solid defense.
They haven't been like
still,
he's a solid player still.
He's not going to hit home runs out in Marlins Stadium down there, but, you know, he's going to hit like a professional hitter. At this point in his career, he's gotten more hits than just
That's exactly what he is, a professional hitter.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad in my mind that he's a fourth outfielder at this point. I mean, it's the end of his career, but still, I keep wanting to think of a team out there that could use him as their starting outfielder, because I think he's still capable of it. He's just not in a position to outperform anybody, especially because everybody loves all the metrics involving power and all these other weird stats that people making up. This guy's just a pure baseball player.
I know a team that could use an outfielder, the Orioles.
This is true.
Yeah, we talked about last week about Yoki, how they couldn't convince him. I mean,
Rasmus.
that he was offered more money and more years by other teams, and he preferred the Giants for playing time and situation, but wow, I don't know.
You just mentioned it, Farbode, another one of those options for the Orioles. Could have been Colby Rasmus, but too late. Astros signed him to a one-year deal as well, just this past week. They were also busy trading away Dexter Fowler to get back Luis Valbuena and Dan Straley.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So they weren't quite done yet. They wanted to do a little bit more work before they were ready to settle down and start their team up.
I mean, both teams basically just traded for depth where they needed depth. And, yeah.
It was a smart move. The Astros by no means needed a player like Dexter Fowler.
No, but about the Rasmus, signing, I can't really say anything about Rasmus himself. He's a good player, solid player. But 3 words, Orioles are screwed. That was their chance at least getting another outfielder. Who, I'm not sure who else is out there, but I don't know. And about Dexter Fowler, he's the top of lineup guy who's a good defender. And if you think about the last few years, who's been the Cubs center fielder? They've had a hole in center field.
They've been playing Arizmendi Alcantara, young guy that they've had the last half of the season that they've kind of been using, but Dexter Fowler definitely gives them an option there.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar with what they can do at the plate. Of course, Fowler has more experience, and that's going to help him out a lot, though. So, good deal for the Cubs.
Yeah.
As well. I guess it officially marks the end of the Luis Valbuena era for the Cubs. So sad.
He was really memorable.
Yeah. I
Remember that
owned
time
him in
when
fantasy baseball for 2 months when he hit halfway decent. So.
I guess just to go back to the Orioles for one point, and we can stop on because not really the focus, I understand, but I guess they just really think Alejandro De Aza is the answer in left field, and you know, if they're confident in that, more power to them.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem like they've been completely dormant this off season. I don't know.
They signed Delman Young. That was their move.
Oh, they did. They signed. That's true. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not upset with the Orioles anymore. I'm just kind of over it. I'm just ready to see what they can do.
I'm just confused.
I'm just confused. Okay, let's move on to this last top story we got here is Giovanni Gallardo being traded to the Texas Rangers for what's his face, and
Luis Sardinas, I know he's in there.
Those are my 3 favorite players.
But
yes.
But I think this trade, if you look at it this way, it's a trade the Rangers needed, even though he does give up 3 prospects, because Gallardo's a reliable guy. I haven't seen him get hurt often. And I mean, wasn't Colby Lewis their only guy last year that wasn't hurt at some point?
And he was shit.
And he was shit.
Yes.
So, they need a guy like Gallardo. Darvish, he's a great pitcher, but he's been hurt last few years at times. And Harrison's coming back from Tommy John, I believe. Derek Holland's coming back. Martin Perez, that's his name. He's coming back. I mean, if their rotation doesn't get hurt, they shouldn't have given up those, relief pitchers, but he's the reliable guy that it kind of stabilizes the team and gets them ready for another injury, possible injury, just in case Colby Lewis because Colby Lewis can't be your only guy, like last year. That was just bad. I mean, no offense to like the Martinez guy that they had coming up or any of their other starting pitchers, but I mean, you had a great rotation, but they all got hurt.
Yeah.
I don't really get it I'm not sure who's going to be the other starter for the Brewers. They just traded away 2 starters this year, so now they only have Spears, Garza Peralta, and Los. They traded away, what's his face to the Blue Jays, and now there's.
I love that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
What's his face? All these what's his face moving around.
That's how
good for baseball.
That's how good. So I thought that's kind of interesting. I wonder what their plan is. I mean, they're not idiots, so. I think they understand they're not really a playoff team, and I don't blame them for this, but if I get it,
I don't know if that's the case at all.
They're not making the playoffs next year.
I think they'll accept that, but they're still in a mode to compete. They were in first place for quite a long time last year.
And then they lost.
They were in first place I'm gonna repeat. If you're in first place in that division at all, that means you have a chance. So, it's guys like,
last year.
They're a team that's guys like, Carlos Gomez and Jonathan Lucroy that they bring a different kind of spark to that team that doesn't really
I have
last.
no problem with their offense, but their pitching is not good.
Oh, and Rudy.
Yeah. It's not a winning team, but they're a team that has that fire and desire to win.
They have Loesch, Garza, Willie Peralta,
That's what I said.
Spears, and a guy like Jimmy Nelson or whatever his name is.
Who was
had
a beautiful 4.9 ERA last year.
Yeah.
So,
beautiful.
I mean, and
the closer's John Broxton.
I don't have a problem for the move for either teams, but Texas is not going to be good next year. Why trade away prospects? I understand
they have a stacked farm system.
An improvement, but
I think I wish the Angels had.
I don't really see I don't see the long term, and they shouldn't be looking into the long term only. I don't see what they really, how long is he under contract, Gallardo? Because they're not going to be good for a little while.
Okay, well, you see, the thing is, how long can you keep looking to the future with,
I
don't know much about these. I don't know much about these prospects. You're trading away a couple pitching prospects and an infielder. But, in my mind, my immediate reaction is, they got Giovanni Gallardo, which is a piece that they could use. It cost them a couple prospects.
If I'm seeing this right,
if they had the opportunity to pick up a guy like Gallardo.
Gallardo is a free agent after this season.
Okay.
According to Baseball Reference, which is
so you give up 3 prospects for Gallardo.
1 year of Gallardo when you're not going to be very good unless they really surprise the league. For 3 prospects like you
unless
just said.
All their question marks that we talked about last week suddenly aren't question marks anymore and just perform like
become
they
exclamation
did.
marks.
Yeah, you become exclamation marks. Exactly. All the question marks become. That was a great comment.
Serious of a decision, and to be honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, Giovanni Gallardo is definitely a proven pitcher that they got.
He's reliable, and they need that.
Yeah.
But if the Astros made this trade, how would you feel?
I would not.
Astros getting.
I would not
Gallardo?
be against it. I would not be against it because there must be something about these prospects and the situation that's going on is that these guys must not have been part of their plans
Why would
necessarily.
I would like
you
this
could
trade.
either take a crack at these guys over the course of the next 3-4 years, or 2-3 years, let's say. Or you could just dive in, grab a guy like Gallardo.
If I was an
Why would
Astros
you
fan,
invest in it if these prospects aren't any good?
That's always the risk that you take, but, some teams like to stock up on the prospects, and that's just the way it goes.
if I was an Astros fan, and we got Gallardo, I wouldn't hate the trade, but I wouldn't love it either. I'd be giving up prospects that we would need for the future, but I get a veteran presence along with Feldman for the young guys.
Yeah, look, part of the reason you get all these prospects is to trade a few of them away to get, something decent in return. So
Something
I don't
to
have a
lead
huge
to
problem
lead
with
your
this.
team.
I don't have a problem with this at all. Because I don't feel like the Rangers need to enter a full rebuild mode because...
No, right now, I think they should, I think right now they should go back into, seeing how those question marks work out this year.
Right, that's what I was about to say. The reason that they don't need to go full rebuild is because they've had a lot of unforeseen problems come up, and they just want to see those work out.
Last year was
before
just
they take
really
any further
unfortunate.
steps.
Last year was
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Big time.
In a very good division too, which
yeah.
does not result in winning the division.
Yeah, they're not gonna win the division with Seattle and the Angels, but I don't know. For baseball, I'm hoping those question marks can be decent players this year. But as an Angels fan, I don't want them to be good at all. And I want the Mariners to go away.
I would bet the Mets on having a better record than them next year.
Oh yeah, the Mets
Fair
are
enough.
actually pretty good.
They have a better record than them last year too, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rangers were the second worst team in baseball last year.
Yes. So
You guys are saying they're gonna, they're looking to improve and all this and that, but
they're not looking to improve. They're looking to straighten themselves out from.
Yeah,
this.
basically, I'm saying they're basically
They've been
trying to
swerving
fix
for a
their
long time.
question marks right now.
I wonder how many times we've called them question marks. I wonder if that's insulting in any way.
Because they have so many problems right now. I'm just calling them question marks. I'm not going to go off and list.
Right.
Prince Fielder, Darvish.
Okay, now you're listing.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Listing. Okay.
I just don't think striving to be okay is but mediocre is a winning formula. I mean, in this MLB with 5 playoff spots, per league, I guess it's a bit, the margins are larger than ever before, but
yeah, I don't feel like striving to be worse is ever okay, because that's just not good for the sport. You got to do something.
True.
I mean, I'm against that whole philosophy of being okay with being bad and then taking your sweet time to try to get better. Even if you don't have all the pieces and you're not willing to go out and jack your team up, you have to be making an effort to get better constantly.
I mean, in an ideal world, I would 100% agree, but I think that the way the league works and the financial implications it involves, I don't know if that's always a realistic outcome for teams, or realistic strategy for some teams to take.
Okay, that's completely fair. I agree.
Very simple.
Yes.
Good, sir.
Okay, that will wrap up our top stories there. So we'll move into our next segment of the top 5 players at each position. It's going to be a little bit more fun. We're going to talk about relief pitchers, top 5. This will include closers and any pitchers that aren't starters, basically. So, Farbode, go ahead and start with you. Give us your list.
Number 5, Wade Davis. In 2013, Davis was a starter, and he was terrible.
Wow, okay.
Okay, well, you're very strong. True.
You're one to talk.
2014, Davis becomes a reliever. His 90-mile-an-hour fastball that he had to hold back, his mid-90s and to upper 90s that he threw last year, he had to turn into 90s in 2013 because he had to start and go multiple innings. But if you're a relief pitcher and you're only throwing 20 pitches a game or whatever, you know that you can just go out there and throw. He threw 95 plus with a really good curve. And just like Hochaver, his teammate, He's coming back from injury. The move to the pen helped him big time. Number 4 guy, Dodgers closer Kenley Jansen. Wait,
not Blue Jays, former Blue Jays closer Casey Jensen?
No, Dodgers closer.
Okay.
He saved 44 games last year. In his first full year as a closer. He did pretty decent at the beginning of the year. In the middle of the year, he had some problems, and then after he fixed that, in the last 35 games, he had a 1.35 or 1 point something ERA. So that's my number 4 guy. Number 3, Greg Holland. I hold a connection with this guy and his teammate Wade Davis for those 2 guys, and our terrible offensive series for the Angels are the reasons that the Royals just whooped us. So, and he's pretty damn nasty as well. So Holland's my number 3 guy. Craig Kimbrell, number 2. Yes, I have all closers but Davis. But Craig Kimbrell's number 2. He is nasty. He came up in 2010, put on a show. He led the league in saves the last 3 years. He's on pace to basically putting up better numbers than the great Mariano Rivera. And no, he's on pace. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to. I mean, there's so many things that can happen, but he's on pace for that right now. And with the number of saves he's been getting and the stats he's had, and Kimbrell already has 3 seasons. I mean, like, just listen to this. Kimbrell has 3 seasons with ERA lower than Rivera's best of 1.38. And my number 1, Chapman. I have a couple reasons that Chapman edges out Kimbrell. Number 1, the most important reason, he's a left-handed pitcher. Number 2, he throws 105. Number 3, he's one of the scariest guys I would imagine to face as a hitter. And other than the 105, he throws a 92 slider. So I love Chapman. Rudy?
Enough said, 92 mile an hour slider.
Okay,
yeah, basically.
I'm gonna go in reverse order.
Changing it up on us, sorry.
Yeah, 'cause that's just easier for my mental process, I guess. Number 1, I'm gonna have to go, Kimbrell, just slightly edging out Chapman, just 'cause his durability is really remarkable in my opinion. This closer. And you don't really see a lot of guys be that consistent with no injuries for I think it's been like 4 straight years, like you said. And I would trust him with my life. And there's really, I think everyone in the baseball community knows. He's kind of one of those guys who, they become so good for long enough that no one really talks about it anymore, I feel like, because everyone's kind of over the hype in a sense. Because they're just used to it. It's like, oh, Craig Kimbrell, had another 1-2.
He's in the game, the game's over.
Yeah. So,
it's just nothing new anymore.
Yeah, exactly. 2, I think with your number 1 Aroldis Chapman. He probably has the best stuff, out of any relief pitcher. He is a monster. He is a beast. He is every descriptive adjective that you want to describe a pitcher.
Who?
Really can't go wrong.
I didn't hear who.
Sorry, Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, okay.
Number 3, I'm gonna go with Dylan Betances.
Oh, he's 6 for me.
And this is a homer pick as a Yankees fan, I admit, but he had a 1.4 ERA, a .78 WHIP, 135 Ks in 90 innings. Ks, strikeouts, yeah. And I think like, he's so young, and he has very little, innings and, stress on that young body. He's only 26.
I read something that said that by his numbers, he had one of the best years ever in like MLB history for a relief pitcher.
Jonah Carey, he had the 8th most valuable, relief pitching season ever. So, and that was his first full season in the major leagues ever. So, and as a fan, I watched him many a night, and his stuff is just gross. It's disgusting and nasty, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
you cringe to watch his pitches. They're so good. They're so good that they make you feel gross. They don't make you feel happy or excited. You get like, your hairs, stand up because
Goosebumps.
he's just nasty. Yeah. I mean, it's that simple. Greg Holland would be my 4. He's like, it's gonna sound weird, but he's almost like the poor man's Kimbrel, even though you could argue his year last year was just as good, if not better. It's because he hasn't been doing this quite as long, with that consistency. And no one really talks about his stuff as like being some insane stuff, some insane pitching repertoire, but
he has pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and his arm motion kind of worries me. It's kind of weird, but you can't really argue with that. And he does. And, my fifth can honestly be anyone from Fernando Rodney to Houston Street to Jansen. I think it was all available to Davis. So I'm going to use it to talk about a guy who used to be considered by many to be the best closer in baseball, who's, in trade talks. He's always in trade talks. He has a ridiculous contract. It has an Applebaum. He had almost 39 saves and a 2 ERA last year. In only 6 innings. And while his strikeout stuff is not very good anymore, for a closer, only 63 strikeouts, which is not good at all. And I'm not saying he's in my top 5 or let alone 10, but I feel like people kind of forget, like, he's still a pretty damn reliable closer on a
That's what I was gonna say.
And his ego's up about 40.3% since last season, so.
He's an ex-Red Sox. I hate him. I'm just saying, I think he's a big, nice addition to the team that trades for him. I wouldn't put him in my top 10.
You wouldn't put him in your top 10, but I'll put him in my top 5.
No, I don't. He's not my top 5. I can't narrow down a top 5. There's too many guys, and I know someone's probably getting mad at me already for putting Betances so high, so I'm just gonna leave that.
That's what I was gonna say about Papelbon, though. It's not many people talk about him anymore just because I'm guessing Philadelphia's not exciting. They're an old team. Now they're getting younger, but they were an old team the last few years. So I'm guessing other than the cup grabbing that he had last year, I don't know how much attention he gets anymore. So no one really talks about him, but he's a pretty reliable guy still.
Even though he's clearly on the decline.
Oh yeah.
Fastball's down 5 miles per hour.
Yeah, there's no
his
doubt,
glory days, but he's a split finger type guy. He can survive out there in the big world for a little bit longer.
Also, the guy with the weirdest career is like Rodney. Like, he had like 2 years where he's like,
don't talk about Rodney. I hate him. I'm an Angels fan.
And then he has a year where he's terrible. Like,
he's terrible with the Angels.
Like, relief pitchers are really volatile, but he takes it to a whole nother level.
He led all of baseball in saves.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Don't talk about Rodney. I'm an Angels fan. He did terrible with the Angels. And then he leaves and has a .49 ERA.
You should be used to this at this point. Come on.
Oh yeah, no, it's the Angels curse. I understand that, but still.
For the Angels.
Yeah. Alright, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my list. I'm gonna go the regular way, 5-1, like a normal person.
I'm sorry. I'm good.
My number 5 spot, I have Houston Street, basically because he's one of the most efficient closers.
I love you.
Thanks. He's definitely one of the most efficient closers out there. He's very consistent with his ERA. He won't necessarily light up a bunch of lineups, but he's got that closer mentality. He'll go out there and shut you down anytime you need him to, pretty much. And his numbers definitely did show in both divisions last year. And also, I wanted to mention that my close fifth, 6th range would have been him also with Trevor Rosenthal. He's also, in my mind, one of the better consistent pitchers that actually has some pretty good stuff up there, high 90s fastball
Pretty young.
on a very good team. So, I can't argue with that really.
When he was traded over to the Angels, Houston Street, I read something how in the last 3-4 years, he's been one of the most reliable and most efficient closers in baseball too.
I believe I used those words, so I
Yeah.
guess I'm doing something right here.
Yes, you are.
Okay. My number 4 guy is actually going to be Aroldis Chapman. He's in your number 1 and 2 slots for both you guys. But
Why do you hate left-handed pitchers?
I don't hate left-handed pitchers. I love left-handed pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking
It's
to two
amazing,
right now.
He definitely is one of those guys that can blow away any hitter at any given time, which is very admirable.
That's an interesting term. Okay.
It's extremely admirable. Like when you watch him pitch, you just want to go down on your knees and bow down to him.
I haven't had that experience, but I'll have to watch him more closely next year and see if I start just being forced to my knees and stuff.
Just look up. Aroldis Chapman does not throw less than 100-mile-an-hour pitch in an inning. He threw an inning all 101 last year. That was just crazy.
It's as good as me.
Oh, almost. I mean, 48, 49, but that's the same, right?
It's all relative.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, Rudy. I love you.
Yeah, it'll be slightly more apparent why he's there when I get into my 3 and 2. I have Dellin Betances as my number 3 above Aroldis Chapman.
Good man.
So you're not alone. You're not alone, Rudy.
I'm talking to Yankee fans here.
No, this is okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say that there's no bias here. Just even though I do love the Yankees, my bias in this regard is nothing to do with his team. It's towards this player in general. He is one of the most useful relief pitchers in the game. Him and Wade Davis have almost invented this new role of the 6th and 7th inning man.
8th inning.
And, partially. The 6th or 7th, basically the 2 inning in the middle of the game.
They're both versatile and can go for more than one.
They shorten the game by 2 innings.
There you go.
Closers shorten the game by 1. These guys are basically lights out, him and Davis. I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, Davis is my number 2. Partially because his numbers were slightly better, I believe, not so much in the strikeout department, but both of them, filled a very similar role and help these teams get to where they need to be. Dellin Betances with the Yankees, helping them stay afloat to any extent because they were kind of a sinking ship after Tanaka went down and all their other problems. And Davis for the Royals, helping them get to a pennant.
I can understand your bias. Don't worry. I got really mad when MLB Network didn't name Trout as the top center fielder in the league.
Who did
they name?
McCutchen.
What?
I love McCutchen, but I'd rather have
what?
Trout.
On what basis? What
The
was
shredder.
it?
No.
Well, sorry, what was it?
Mike Trout has a 7.9 WAR.
I know.
McCutchen has a 6.4 WAR.
Yeah, they named McCutchen better than Trout. The shredder.
Okay. Well, the shredder is definitely not racist. We can say that much.
That's
So
old.
yeah. Well, it's a machine, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that unique position, I think, in general, is more valuable than the closer role altogether. But I still do give my number 1 slot to Mr. Craig Kimbrell, basically because he's become the face of closers just about in the past few years. He's very Mariano Rivera-esque.
Except he doesn't throw 92 and cutter. Throws 98.
Mariano threw a little bit harder when he was in his prime.
Yes, but he didn't throw a consistent 98, 99.
No, this is basically Mariano Rivera if he was...
I mean, I love Kimbrell.
And on the Braves and threw fastball curves and changes.
Yeah.
He's Mariano Rivera if you change all these things about him. But yeah.
Just like I'm Chapman if you change a bunch of things about me too.
Yeah. These comparisons. Anyway, he has just become the face of relief pitchers and closers throughout baseball, and I'm gonna honor him for that because he has definitely earned his title as probably best relief pitcher in baseball.
I
So, right, even though he's not on a winning team, but
No.
that's what I'm going with for my list. Any other snubs you wanted to throw out there?
Who's the worst?
Who is the worst closer? I'll give that one to, or no, I feel like I'm going to say somebody and then
I
I'm
know
gonna give
one.
somebody
Ernesto
worse.
Frieri.
I'm gonna go.
Jason Greeley? No.
I'm gonna go with
No,
Addison
Jason really
Reed.
didn't.
I'm gonna go with
Ernesto-
Addison Reed. Yes,
Ernesto Frieri didn't survive 2 months with the Angels this year.
Addison Reed is your worst?
He had a 4.25 ERA last year. That's
Ernesto
like,
had like a 10 ERA.
he didn't pitch the whole year though as a closer.
Yeah, because no one wanted him. He was traded from the Angels, and then right after that, he was basically released.
Nah.
So I'm saying Ernesto.
I'm still sticking with Jason Greeley because he did have a shot to close.
Really was pretty
Absolutely
horrible too. Yeah.
shit his pants.
That's fair. Cannot argue with you there.
Nope. Jose Valverde, anybody? No?
I love that Jose.
He got 2 saves last year.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
2
who?
blown saves. 2
Not
blown saves
batter,
also. The
too.
Mets, I think. Was it the Mets? Might have been the Mets.
Insane.
I think the Mets.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. You guys are right.
we win.
He had a 5.6 ERA.
Yep. Looking at it right now. So proud of myself for coming up with that one. It's kind of sad. But yeah, anyway, I think it's worth mentioning that the number one person in saves for all of baseball last year did not make any of our top 5.
Yeah.
So
You said Fernando.
congrats to you we did mention him, but he did not make any of our lists, so congratulations to you, Mr. Bow and Arrow.
I like your hat game.
I don't.
Yeah, a hat game on point.
I don't.
Yeah, I know, you're bitter.
He's a Seattle
Anyway.
Mariner.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and dive into our teams of the week. We'll start with our underdogs, the Astros.
Ugh.
Rudy, go ahead.
Ugh, that's...
You want me to start?
Yeah.
You seem like you can talk about this
Where
pretty
to
passionately.
begin? Wow. Well, wow, there's so many things I can just complain and bitch about them. I mean, I love it. There must be your favorite team considering how much they've tanked and disgraced the name of baseball the past 3 years.
I don't, they were definitely not they were definitely down there in one of my least favorite teams, except for Jose Altuve, so.
Yeah.
He basically carried them in my mind.
I mean,
he was the only bright spot on that team in my mind.
I mean,
so.
we can start with the fact that they really, really made an effort to manipulate the cap that you can use to sign draft picks. It's a weird thing about baseball and other sports seems to have, and complicated, and I'm sure Google has a great explanation. But basically, they failed to sign the 3 blue chippers, including the number 1 overall pick that they drafted, which is an insane failure considering that's their only hope in getting better.
They didn't fail to sign him. They failed to sign their draft pick last year. Then their other 2 guys, one of them's hurt, and the other guy's not doing so well. Appel's not doing so well right now.
No, Appel was 2 years ago.
No,
yeah,
I know, but
still not
The
doing
most
They're still
recent
not
draft, they failed to sign.
No, I'm telling you, the most recent draft, they didn't sign him. 2 years ago, Appel's not doing great right now, and then,
Appel's been horrendous.
yeah, and then their other guy, the guy they got when he was a teenager, I forget his name.
Carlos Correa.
Yeah, he injured he injured his ankle or leg or something last year. So,
I still have hopes for him. He's only 20, and he hasn't even made it past high A. He's been good at all levels, and he looks like he's 7 years old. But,
What?
he's one hell of a baby face. And,
Okay.
but, yeah, they had Altuve, who, by the way, is one of the worst defensive second basemen in the entire MLB.
Shut up. I love him.
He's actually so bad defensively that, he's not even considered that valuable of a player by some, I know Jonah Carey mentioned that in his trade column. He's still really good. He's a insane offensive hitter at that position, but he isn't, the god of the team. You don't want him being the best player. You don't want him being your best player. That's the best way to put it. I mean,
I want him being my best player.
I mean, they have, Chris Carter, I guess, was
He's like the one part of Jose Altuve that's just a different player that would make him the best player.
If only Chris Carter could hit
history.
the curveball.
I mean,
Chris Carter and Jose Altuve were combined.
Like, he's not bad. He's like, I mean, they're worse players. I mean, he's like a fine DH, I guess. George Springer, I have a lot of hope for him. He had a pretty pretty valuable, pretty good year considering he hit 231 and didn't even play the whole year. He still had, I still have high hopes considering that.
It's supposed to be really good.
John Singleton was horrible. I don't think he'll be anything.
The potential he has was supposed to be really good, but.
I mean, and he's the same player as Chris Carter, just a worse version. So what are they doing?
He's a Chris Carter that doesn't hit home runs.
Yeah. Dallas Keuchel and Colin McHugh, I admit, came out of nowhere to be two excellent pitchers last year. And they were quality pitchers.
Yeah, especially Keuchel.
Keuchel, I'm sorry. I always make that mistake.
What'd you call him?
There are no number 1 or 2 stars, and they're not going to lead them to, the World Series. I mean, they're just incomplete, extremely in every single part. And you don't really hear a lot about their prospects being extremely highly touted.
Like you hear about the Cubs. Oh, when's
exactly.
gonna be called up? When's Bryant gonna be called up? When's Baez gonna be called up?
You hear about all the stocking up, and then you don't hear anything after that.
I mean, right now we're hearing about Joey Gallo on the Rangers.
Yeah.
I haven't heard one word about a prospect on the Astros.
I mean,
except Appel. Appel is so far looking like a bust.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
I mean, they don't have a Lucas Giolito as the top of the Nationals, or a Mookie. I know Mookie Betts played last year, but or Doc Peterson, Miguel Sano. They have no Byron Buxton, no 5-tool superstar guy who's supposed to be drudging. I mean, I'm pretty disappointed in their rebuild so far.
I've actually heard
more results by now.
Last year when Springer came up, when he was on his super tear, hitting home runs left and right.
Oh yeah.
I was hearing some comparisons or questions of why do we admire Mike Trout so much for what he's been doing this year in particular with just hitting home runs and striking out a lot, which is basically the same game as George Springer has.
There's a 50-point batting average difference right there.
But if you're producing at that level, if you're gonna hit your team mid-30s home runs and drive in 100 RBI, and still play above average defense.
I said I was really impressed with this season. I like him, but he's not I wouldn't call him a 5-tool superstar.
No, not quite. But
he's
it's very comparable. It's very comparable in his.
He's a good player.
Productivity.
He kind of reminds me of what Colby Rasmus should have been.
Yes. Yeah.
He was a really
they have the Colby Rasmus that is Colby Rasmus too, so I don't know how that's gonna play out either.
I mean, okay, I think what I was trying to say, but you see my point. I like him.
Yeah.
He's valuable, but he's not. That's one real prospect who's made it. Who's touted. I mean, McHugh and Keuchel were kind of out of nowhere guys who already had.
I never heard of them before this year.
Yeah, they had already had major league experience.
Only guys who played them in that division, the Angels. I heard about them, but I never thought they were any good.
They didn't do anything really. So for all I know, those could have been flukes. I'm not saying they were, but so you would think by now, and I understand the way they were building takes a long time, but you expect more results than now. I mean, there's guys at this point who come from college to the majors, drafted from college to the majors in 1 year.
Brandon Finnegan.
Oh, Finnegan's just, oh my god.
So,
okay,
there you go.
Anyway,
I'm gonna say something that's not on this topic, but you brought up Mike Trout. So, hey, okay, so you said, 30, he's similar to Springer, but I understand that you could say something like that last year. This year, I want his home runs to go down. I want his RBIs to go down. I want his
monster.
No, for Trout. I want his stolen bases to go up, Because if his home runs and RBIs go down, his strikeouts go down too. Because
doesn't even have to happen. You can make adjustments and still.
No, I'm
telling you. RBIs have any correlation with strikeouts.
No, I'm telling you, he can.
Victor Martinez doesn't strike out, and he has.
No, I'm telling you, he can strike. Yeah. He can strike out. I mean, he can make a lot of great adjustments. But I'm just saying, if he's more worried.
You know who the key? You know, the only thing the Angels need to do is fire Mike Scioscia.
Okay, we're not getting
wait till 2018
talk because that's
okay. Anything? I mean, I guess the Astros made two fine moves in the Rasmus signing and the Fowler trade. And the Gaddis trade is
if Singleton doesn't hit, you put Carter at first. If Carter's a terrible defensive.
Yeah, having Gaddis and Carter doesn't really make sense because neither of them can play defense. And you can't have two DHs, so that's kind of...
You can have Gaddis catch.
I want my boy Conger to get some playing time.
Nah, okay.
I mean...
Gaddis better not catch because I want Castro and Conger to be the catchers.
They managed to convince the Giants to re-sign, Ryan Vogelsong. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that was
weird.
I thought the Astros, could have, made a run at him, but...
They did make a run. And
No, like, better run. I thought they could actually get him, too.
It sounded like they were going to get him, and...
Yeah.
I'm not saying they've had...
He's a long relief guy on the Giants right now because, if Matt Cain and Tim Hudson progress as they're expected, right now he's expected to be like a long relief guy for them. I mean, at his age, I'm not saying that's terrible for him, but he's kind of he's a veteran now, so why not put him? I'm guessing he wants to win his last year, obviously, his last few years, but for the Astros that would have been a lot better. He's an older guy, he teaches the younger guys, just like Gallardo that we were talking about to the Astros wouldn't have been bad.
Not the same.
I know. Obviously, no. Gallardo has years left. He's still gonna get paid, but
and that team isn't quite as young.
Yeah.
I think we just have to remember that Vogelsong really isn't an impact player.
No, he's not, but he still has things to talk about. He still has things to teach the younger pitchers.
He can bring something to a team, but it's not going to be
on the mound.
Super impactful.
I mean, I see your point. It's like how they've signed like the the Scott Feldmans of the world.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's that kind of thing.
Just sign another Scott Feldman. And he actually didn't do that bad for them last year either.
I don't know. I've been a bit disappointed in,
the rebuild.
Their front office really came out really, intelligent and, well planned and well constructed in the early years of this rebuild. And they were saying all the right things. And I just don't, maybe I'm just being impatient, but I don't think they've gotten necessarily the results yet that they should have. And that's a lot of faith to ask the fan base for. When you don't really have any, you're not really getting any better. I mean, look at what happened to, I don't know, I mean, I'm trying to think of a team that's been horrible for a really long time. I guess
the Nationals.
You could say
Nationals.
You could say the Mariners. The Mariners never had that 5-year stretch or so when they never were able to develop really any, excluding Felix obviously, develop any impact prospects. And they've now
traded for Montero. Montero was bad.
But it took them like 10 years.
Yeah.
To fully rebuild. And I think they're falling into that trap.
Yeah, I don't.
Fine by me.
I don't
one
care
less
for
team
the
to
Astros
worry about.
in general. I'll just hope they can sell enough Jose Altuve jerseys to keep their fan base.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they have no one there at their games, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. So I think that's enough though about the less than adequate Astros we've decided. So let's move on to one of the top teams in baseball, the Dodgers.
Los Angeles Dodgers.
Expect great things from them. No pressure.
Okay, this team right now, I see right now, like, looking at their depth chart, You could see Crawford or Van Slyken left, Peterson in right, Peterson in center, Puig in right, Kendrick and Gonzalez on the right side, short Rollins and Uribe on left side, and
Juan Uribe.
catcher would be Grandal or Ellis.
The MLB, but God, is he good somehow?
I love Uribe.
He had 311 last year. I mean, and he plays great defense supposedly. I mean, God damn, I love Juan Uribe.
This team is a great team. They're led by the greatest pitcher on the planet right now.
Wait, Uribe also is 1-0 as a manager. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, that was a great time. Oh, and Kershaw is 1-0 as a pitching coach.
Yep,
Exactly.
that's experience right there.
But that was so this team's led by the best pitcher on the planet right now, by the craziest right fielder on the planet right now, and my favorite second baseman on the planet right now, Howie Kendrick.
Angels fans.
He and Jimmy Rollins, their pickups, they provide a great, they're great additions to the team, along with
Jose Altuve.
Hey, stop. Along with, Gonzalez. I thought we're done talking about the Astros.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Along with Gonzalez and, Uribe and Peterson and Puig, I think that lineup's gonna be pretty stacked. I'm wondering if instead of AJ Ellis was a pretty good catcher last year, why do you need a Grandal? You could have gotten a lot more from Matt Kemp than you could have gotten a better left field than Carl Crawford. Or you could have filled your bullpen, because right now their bullpen is not that great. If they need bullpen depth, they have Kenley Jansen as closer, but other than that, they need depth there.
That's easy to acquire at the deadline now.
At the deadline, but are they willing to trade they would probably have to trade like a Justin Turner or Barney.
I mean, probably they
or
signed
Ichiro.
Yeah.
Why would they trade?
His name had been.
Why would anyone want Darwin Barney for a relief pitcher?
Why wouldn't they?
Why would anyone want Darwin Barney?
Because Darwin Barney.
Is basically Darwin Barney. He's a great defender, and I mean, Darwin Barney is not a valuable commodity. I hate to tell you.
He's not. I agree.
I've
looked into him a little bit more.
He's as good as you. If you play on the major league level, that's what's trying. Can I just mention one thing? If you have anything to say, finish.
I'm just saying their rotation looks great with Kershaw, Greinke, Rue. McCarthy's a pretty solid starter. I don't know. Yeah. Very consistent. I don't know about Anderson, but
injury prone, but it's great stuff.
Yeah, he's great stuff, but he gets hurt every time he comes back from an injury.
They do have really good infield depth. I mean,
their infield is pretty damn good.
I obviously just took a dump on Darwin Barney's ability, but they have Alex Guerrero and Reespil Arubuena, sitting in the minors. They could obviously play since I think they got international contracts. They have Corey Seager, one of the best shortstop prospects in the majors. Brother
Alex. You said Alex Guerrero, the guy who got his ear bitten off.
Yeah.
Part of his ear bitten off.
They have Justin Turner. They have Scott Van Slyke, who can play 4 positions. I like their depth is for the
this team has a great chance to be the best team in baseball.
For a high payroll team, they're a very diverse team.
I agree with you.
I think this is a team that Magic Johnson is saying, if we don't win this year, I don't know what baseball is anymore.
Their pitching does leave a little bit
a question mark.
I agree, but they could, for all I know, they could be signing Rafael Soriano right now. And
I wouldn't be surprised if they did because of the money they have.
Yeah.
But I like Kenley Jansen, obviously. Brandon Lee, he's solid, but other than that, I don't see another great relief pitcher there.
It's true. And then I just want to mention Juan Uribe had a 4 ERA the past 2 seasons.
Juan Uribe.
Not combined, each season.
Wait, are we?
I'm sorry?
Is that a mistake or?
Juan Uribe.
According to ESPN.com, he's had a 4 ERA both the past 2 seasons. I've kind of always bagged on this guy because
Juan Uribe?
Okay.
It's kind of pudgy.
Slow down.
He's 35
Alex,
years
who are
old.
you talking about?
Who are you talking?
Juan Uribe.
What?
When did he pitch?
For WAR, sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
My bad.
Thank you.
Sorry, I think it's just...
You said ERA, and
Okay, I think it's, yeah, this is even more impressive then. 4 WAR for Juan Uribe 2 years in a row. I mean, I think if you're getting that out of him at 35 years old, you should be winning the championship.
I propose that we put his face up as the image for this video, the whole video, and they won't understand why until they get to this part.
I mean, wait, do they have a GP Howell? He's okay, right?
Yeah, again, and you know.
I like them. I think they're one of the best top 3 teams.
They have a great chance to be.
Oh yeah, they
best
definitely
in the
will.
league.
If they were last year, then there's no telling what they can do this year.
If the Dodgers aren't the top 3 teams in the league and I were Magic Johnson, I would just give up on baseball this year. Because this team is just that good. As long as they don't start off like they did the last few years, where they start off really slow, and then, because they don't have another Puig to come up and then spark their 27-6 run or whatever.
So yeah, I think they're definitely a better team than they were last year.
They're a better team than
almost
Houston
every
Astros.
way. And okay, thanks. That wasn't necessary. Every team is pretty much better than.
They're better than Jose Altuve.
Your man crush, Alex Huey.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not gonna argue that because
Just because he's your height doesn't mean he has to be your man crush.
Hey, I used to be shorter than him, so settle down.
So is most of the people in the world.
Yes, true.
He's 5'5" and he hits jacks. So
5'6". Get it right.
5'6" and he hits jacks.
He's 5'6", 175 pounds. That's sick.
How about you're forgetting that the great Paco Rodriguez is a relief pitcher on the Dodgers.
Ooh.
I read that
there.
here. Oh, and how
doesn't that name strike fear in your heart and soul?
Just
sounds like a backyard baseball player.
It does.
Dude, I kind of want to talk about because you said Paco.
Paco Rodriguez and Pablo Sanchez.
I want a taco now.
You want tacos now?
You want?
Because it rhymes with Paco.
It's midnight. You want tacos now?
They're an ethnically diverse team.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. We'll give them that. We'll end it on that note that the Dodgers are definitely a very diverse team. Which is not probably what you all expected to hear from the second best National League team last year. So,
they have Tim Wallach's son.
Oh, okay. We're just gonna keep throwing out random people that we're finding on the Dodgers.
I mean, he is from our hometown, so.
Okay.
They have definitely an all random roster from last season.
And they have the best announcer in the game.
True.
Very true.
True. It's necessary at this point.
I mean, did you guys know that Kevin Correa, not Korea.
Oh, Correa?
Correa pitched last year, or Chris Perez, or Paul Malholm, or Ryan Wilson. Just random washed up guys that pitch for you.
Yep.
Malholm wasn't washed up. He did good the year.
Yeah, he wasn't washed up. They washed him up.
Yeah.
He has a 4.80 ERA.
They finished the job. Anyway, I think that's plenty of random washed up Dodgers players that we managed to mention at the end of that little segment there.
I think our job is done.
Very much.
Very good.
Any more comments about 5'6" Jose Altuve?
He's 5'6", 175 pounds, which is kind of disgusting and amazing, considering I'm the same height and I'm like 145 pounds and I'm not skinny, so I don't know. Drinks a lot of milk. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you to Alex Rudy, who's been feeling it in his throat a little bit, but managed to be a trooper and join us today.
I'm a tough guy. Wait. I'm sorry, I have one more comment on the Dodgers. Do you know Cole Crawford batted 300 last year?
I did not know that. I knew he hit okay. I didn't know he was a 300 hitter.
I don't pay attention to Carl Crawford. The only reason I know about Carl Crawford is because of MLB The Show, and he's like 65 overall now. So
that's so mean. That's messed up.
Okay.
Isn't what's his name over Darwin Barney's probably better than 65.
Yeah, he is.
That's kind of messed up. I'd be pissed if I was Carl Crawford.
Yeah.
He didn't come back from Tommy John for that kind of treatment.
Only left fielder to get Tommy John. That's pretty impressive.
Yep, that's an accomplishment.
He can say that to his grandchildren when he's old.
Yep.
I mean, Matt Wieters and Shin-Soo Choo can start the everyday player Tommy John club.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, on this note, we are going to go ahead and finish it up right here. Follow our Twitter at WPB_podcast, and you can tweet us questions you have or any other feedback you have, and
suggestions, complaints, and
yes.
All hail Juan Uribe.
All hail
Juan Uribe. Autographs, Juan Uribe memorabilia, Juan Uribe.
We'll take them all.
Everything Juan Uribe related.
Yes, we'll take all your Juan Uribe fan merchandise.
Not really.
Yeah.
Also, you could email us at warandpeacebaseball@gmail.com. Also, I'd like to bring it up again that we'd like to eventually get Q&A going. Probably not going to happen in the near future, but eventually that is the overall goal, because that would be really fun. And
we don't care if it's one person just asking the same question over and over.
Yeah, that would be totally fine. You
We'll
could
give
have
you a different answer.
We'll name the segment after you if you ask lots of questions.
We'll take one person asking 20 different questions. I'll take that.
Right.
It can be about us as us three, or it can be about baseball. It can be about anything.
Anything at all.
We're begging anything.
It'll make us very happy. We have something more interesting to branch off of than our basic stuff right now. We're gonna keep trying to mix in new segments and
we want to make
new things
better
to keep it
for
fresh.
you.
Again, it's very, very early stages at this point, so we're still getting our feet wet trying different things. So give us feedback. That's pretty much the best thing that we could ask for. So, until next week, have a good day.
Adios.
See ya.